intellectual property for me is, I guess it's sort of, I might be different in that I really respect intellectual property and copyrights. I think, I'm still an avid music fan and an avid buyer of CDs. I mean, that makes me really rare. But I sort of relate everything I do sort of karmically and spiritually, figuring that if I do want to sell CDs, I still got to purchase them, or I have to support music, then and support art. Then if I want people to support my art, I have to support other people's art. And I think intellectual property, that ownership, and I know when I write music, there's something to be said about claiming ownership of your song. That this is my piece of art, this is my piece of work. This is my Mona Lisa. Give credit where credit's due, and whether that's monetarily or whether that's just recognition, I don't know. I can't really decipher what form that'll come in the future, but hopefully that recognition, acknowledgement, or that adulation, or that sort of, attention is given to the artist. And I think that sort of due credit, whatever, like I said, it could be in money form if it needs to be, or some other. I think it needs to be given, and I think maybe there's a little bit of a dispute with me, is I'm not totally for the whole, I'm not a big fan of piracy, but I have my, it's a vacillating space. It's both. It's like not black and white, right? So it's hard to be on one side or the other, because they tend to support and also detract from each other. So I don't know. It's a crazy, crazy world. Because record companies aren't doing as well, they're not acquiring as many new acts. And if you want to be a new act, they're not developing artists anymore. They're basically only hiring artists that are coming straight to the board, already the record done. And with the records done, and for artists who are starting from the ground up and trying to make some kind of movement, it's so much harder for artists to be able to do that nowadays, because there's so fewer amount of doors that can open, and if there's tons of art and artists out there. Granted, everyone thinks that a bunch of stuff is crap, but there, for every 5 pieces of crap, I'm sure there's one glittery piece of poop out there, and then that's worth sharing. And but was such a weird metaphor. I just think it's all interrelated. Yeah, it sucks for the record companies, but there are those artists like, Radiohead is doing what they did, but Radiohead deserves to be doing what they're doing. They're no Art of Chaos, meaning Art of Chaos is no Radiohead, and we can't do that anytime soon. But I think just the outlets and how we get music out, I think, granted, a lot of the power is going back to the artist and what we're capable of doing, but I think with a lot of that power comes a lot of responsibility and a lot more jobs for artists to have to take on, to be their own managers, to be their own, which is what we do, to be their own marketers, to be their own everything. And there's a certain amount of weight, but I think it does sort of weed out the weak. So maybe more power to us, or more power to people like us.
In my opinion, I think CDs are gonna just die out completely within like a year or two. I think it's gonna be all digital. I mean, that's just the way I see it. It seems like it's going that way. So I think like live performers, you can never take that away. You can never digitize that. So
yeah, I think what's apparent is that there's always going to be a need for music, whether for live music and that experience, the experience of music and songs and those sort of connections, especially art and music, such an immediate form of that experience and that sort of evocation of emotion and relationship between people. And I don't think you can ever get rid of that. And I think music is still going to find a way to present itself to people, whether it'll be on CDs or we're just waiting for the next, Steve Jobs or whatever, somebody to come up with a new format to release music. And, once that bandwagon hits, hopefully we'll be one of the first people on it and we can, succeed off of that. But I think now it's just CDs. We do get to that spot where we're selling a lot of CDs. Obviously, it's going to be great that people have CDs, but I still think it's just going to enhance other revenue streams. It's not really going to... We're not going to be making that much money from CD sales themselves. It's just going to be enhancing our notoriety and the sales of, shirts, tour tickets, and fan club VIP memberships or whatever else we can make money off of the brand, which is what bands are becoming nowadays.